Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
Diamonds in the sunset, now your time has come. A pretty yellow bird fly away.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. If you went back 100 years, it would be 1917. And then you looked at all of the advancements that happened in our world between 1917 and 2000, let's say. It was pretty amazing, wasn't it? But now, in just 17 years since 2000, look at all the changes. The word exponential, I think, really is the best word to describe how we, as a species, as a being, whatever we are as humans, how we have just unbelievably changed our lives and everything around us. And in some ways, you think that I'm talking about technology, but it's not all about that. I mean, just think about it. When people say the good old days, 100 years ago, the world socially was so different. You know, we had social differences and social attitudes that are so different than today. And thank goodness we're kind of waking up as people. Dave Evans is an amazing guy. He's on the phone. He's the co-founder of the Life Design Lab and a New York Times best-selling author. His book is called Designing Your Life, which he co-wrote with Bill Burnett, and how to build a well-lived, joyful life. It's not just about technology, but about so many philosophical aspects of our lives as well. Good morning, Dave Evans. Thank you for being on the show with us today.
Larry, thanks for having me.
And where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm on the other coast. I'm literally looking at Monterey Bay as we speak from my desk. I live in Santa Cruz, right on the coast over the hill from Stanford in Silicon Valley. So I'm on the left coast and you're on the right coast, and we've sort of got the country covered now.
Well, thank you for that.
Nice.
And you got up early to be with us, so thank you for that as well.
Glad to be here.
So are you philosophical by nature? I know you've got a lot of like inventions to your credit. What Robin was telling me, the Apple Mouse, which I use every day, by the way. Yeah.
Well, sure. I mean, one of the reasons I was attracted to Apple in the early days when Steve Jobs, asked me to join the team was, we were trying to make a ding in the universe and change the way people worked. I was on the original Lisa team. I was there during the time that the recent Steve Jobs movie was made. I was working with a lot of those people. We were trying to change how the man-machine interface occurred. And then when I went to Electronic Arts, it was about making software worthy of the minds that use it. So, we've been trying to change the world, using this little thing called technology for a long time. Which is how we got to how could we use this design thinking methodology, which we've been using in Silicon Valley for innovative products for a long time, to innovate humanly what we do with our own lives. The whole point of design thinking is to make things that humans can really use and work the way people really are. We said finally, hey, it's about time to take those ideas and apply them to ourselves. We started teaching it at Stanford, and then, wrote this book, and it kind of blew up on our hands, and here we are on the phone.
Wow.
It was pretty awesome.
So give us an example of that. Give us an example of putting that those ideas into my hands, for example.
Sure. I mean, part of what we're doing is designers often try to take a really honest and non-judgmental look at a situation. We call it the empathy step, followed by reframing, redesign what the question we're asking is, and then see if we can't make progress on that. And we do it incrementally through prototype iteration rather than just sitting on the couch all day trying to come up with a final idea all at once. You can't analyze your way forward in life. You can only build your way forward. So probably one of the wrong questions people ask is, what's my passion? If I don't know my passion, I can't start. It's all about your passion. That's what I need to begin with. Well, for most people, passion is the outcome of the well-lived life, not the beginning. And many people have multiple passions. So when 8 out of 10 people say, look, I don't know my passion, or which one do you want me to describe first, that's what's my passion question isn't the place to start.
Oh, okay.
So we start with, what are your various interests? And before you suddenly, let's leave the broadcasting industry. It's time to go jump into medicine. Let's go, Larry. Wait a minute. I'm going to go to med school and spend 6 years and try this thing and then find out I really don't even like it. So we encourage people to take their curiosities, curate their curiosities. We have some exercises to do that, and then talk to people, go out and have prototype conversations, we call them, to learn more, not just about getting the facts, like how much does this job make, or what do what school do you need to go to, but what's it like being this person, and talk to people who like it, talk to people who don't like it, learn more about whether or not these stories apply to you, and then start finding ways to try them. So maybe I can actually shadow a doctor for a little while before I want to go become a surgeon, or even hang out with an EMT. There are lots of ways I could do this before I make a big decision. So we just give people lots of tools for small steps.
Okay, so interning then would be a great way to do that.
Well, actually, what we call it, designing an experience in the world, and we're working on reframing that whole process at Stanford right now. We've got a big project working on reinventing the internship, because when we think about it, a traditional internship for a college student is a 10-week-long job in one company for an entire summer. And you get a bunch of real experience. I'm going to work at your radio station all summer long. But then, I got to know Larry really well, and we got this one experience, and that's great. But is that really the entire broadcasting industry?
Absolutely.
So your experience can be anything from a cup of coffee with somebody, all the way up to taking a gap year and stopping out and working for a whole year in an industry and going to Paris or whatever it might be. So whether it's a cup of coffee or a shadow or a small project or a 2-week, engagement or a month-long thing, or maybe it's the whole summer, go find experiences you can have in lots of bite-sized different shapes in order to really build the kind of information and the experience that will let you make a good decision and choose well.
But you also point out in the book that you do have to make a living. So while you're doing these experiences, you also have to have a job so you can support yourself.
Of course you do. There's no reason not to be self-supporting in this process. We're not saying, you should just be, unemployed and dabbling around. In fact, one of our colleagues at Stanford, Bill Damon, runs the Center for Adolescence and identifies, they're the purposeful people in the world. And then there's also dabblers and dreamers. And dabblers try lots of things, but they're not really learning anything or getting anywhere, and they get stuck dabbling. Or dreamers who have really want to solve the food distribution problem, food justice and food deserts in the inner city. I'm going to solve that problem, and they're so heavenly minded, they're no earthly good, they can't get started. So you don't want to get lost in dabbling or dreaming. And in today's world, with the issues facing us and the gig economy and anything can be done online, it's a really easy place to get stuck, dabbling or dreaming. And we're trying to help people, get started, get your feet on the ground, get traction going, but do it in a way that realizes you're building your way forward, and you're not going to get it right the first time.
You're so exciting to speak with.
Yeah, you've got an energy for sure. So somebody, for example,
this is radio. We have to talk fast.
All right. So I mean, we all know people, and maybe we are some of them who wanted to be the next football star, or the next rock and roll star, or the next movie star, or something like that. And the numbers indicate that of all those who try to get those jobs, the very, very, very small percentage actually get them. But it doesn't say there's no reason why somebody shouldn't still pursue them. What is your thought to, let's say you're the dad, let's say you're the father of somebody who wants to go on one of those paths. What do you say to him or her?
Well, I think you live in reality. I mean, the thing about design is we start with accept. You can't solve a problem you're not willing to have. And if you're not willing to have the problem of, look, there's a 0.0001% chance you're going to be successful enough as an actor to make a living at it, and let's talk about what that actually means to you. I can think of, one of my students at Stanford who just finished a chemical engineering degree. It was about ready to go off into a very manageable, very lucrative career, but she also was a dancer. And she said, I think I really want to go for it. I did some stuff in the summer. I'm thinking about, I'm going to spend a year. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to live, in a garret with a bunch of other girls. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to try out for shows and work late night at a deli. Do you think I'm crazy? And I said, look, honey, this is your story. If you're willing to accept the risks and take the consequences, there are no wrong things to do. They're just things with different kinds of consequences. So plan accordingly.
Yeah,
I've had students who've tried for those kinds of things and succeeded, and most of them fail. But they learned a lot along the way. And if you do it realistically, and you're not bleeding mom and dad dry, you're not using somebody else's money to do it. It's a free country.
designing your life. I love the energy that we're hearing from you, Dave. Dave Evans and Bill Burnett wrote the book. I have the cover of the book on the podcast that we're streaming right now, and it'll be up as a recording in about 2 hours. Dave, you want to leave us with a website?
Yeah, it's just the title of the book with a dot in it, Designing Your Life. And there's a newsletter you can sign up for. There's blogs and videos and all kinds of additional information. All the exercise worksheets from the book you can download from the website for free. So we'd be glad to host you online.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and for what you've done and for designing my mouse. Thank you, Dave.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having us.
All right, we'll be right back.